Hello and welcome to another evening of frank conversation on hard copy, coming to you from our studios in Abuja. I am Terry Ikumi.
How are you going to measure the success of this program? Because you never said anything about it.
I have the question before executive session.
Yes, you can ask one question. Ask one question. That's your question.
I please respectfully, and I say this respectfully, say this, that I will want the cameras to be here. It's a matter of public interest.
Yeah. Okay.
No problem. Let the camera be
I allow the cameras to go out.
Okay.
I want cameras to go out. Okay. I will not talk. I will not speak. I will not speak. The cameras must be here. I will not speak. If it's an executive session, I'm only bound by public hearing. Anytime I appear here, it has to be a public hearing. If it's a private hearing, I will not speak.
Well, that was the scene that played out on Tuesday this week when the Minister of State for Labour and Employment, Mr. Festus Keyamo, appeared before a joint committee of the National Assembly on Labour. Now, the National Assembly had asked the Minister and the Director General of the National Directorate of Employment, Nasrullah Dan, to explain to them the modalities which will be employed in the recruitment of 774,000 Nigerians under a special public works program of the federal government. The inquiry of members of the legislature ended on a fractious note, as Mr. Keyamo, who was unwilling to be grilled behind closed doors, was asked to leave by the lawmakers who accused him of trying to dictate to them the modalities of their proceedings. Mr. Keyamo has since accused lawmakers of trying to hijack the entire process of recruitment, despite the reservation of 10 to 15% slot for the lawmakers. Now the lawmakers in turn have made good their threat to halt the program, a move some say is beyond their powers. Now, before all this played out on the floor of the National Assembly, we had spoken with the minister about this planned recruitment and how he was going to ensure that it was done in a transparent manner, in a way that benefits everyday Nigerians. In terms of employment, what has this government done? Or how many jobs has this government generated or created since inception?
We don't have the exact figures. I kept saying that.
Why don't you have the exact figures?
Because we're in the process of collating them. I came to office about 8-9 months ago, and I've said, look, various sectors must bring in. It's not Ministry of Labour creating the jobs. Don't forget that. Departments of government, and we have how many? Hundreds of departments. So we have said all of them one by one. Most of the projects you have done, let us know how many people did them. And the multiplier effects. I've also had proposals recently too regarding our special public works, that the federal government said wants to commence the special public works that will engage 1,000 unskilled labor in all the 774 local governments. I've seen proposals where they say, look, private companies and say, look, we want to use your workforce, but I'm not yet to get. I've not gotten approval from Mr. President to use them for private companies. And they said, well, it will also create jobs for those private companies because it will boost their fortunes and they can, employ more Nigerians. The program is designed now for public works.
I think for quite a number of persons still, we don't know the details of the public works program that are going to cover the 3 channels, food production, basic employment, and skills training.
Let me explain that to you. The design of the special public works. Now, when you talk about food production, agriculture, it's also part of the package, because the special public works is aimed at sweeping off what you call this. We call them different names, but permit me on this program to explain it so that Nigerians will understand who we are talking about. Area boys all over the place. They are unskilled. They don't have a job to do. You see them hanging around every day doing nothing. You have the Agberos. Is it part of the Agberos? Some of them work in the parks and all that, but they are largely unemployed. You have those who go around every day with shovels, with hoes, looking for just daily work. At times, some carry blocks, concrete, gravels. They just go to any construction site and say, do you have a job for me? They want to do manual labor. Now, you have a lot of these people at the bottom of the economy, a lot of them. The graduates are not even up to 10% of these people. So they form a big bulk of the economy at the lowest level. One of the exit strategies of this program is to move some of these people into massive agricultural production. No, so when they finish, don't forget that federal government already has a database of these people, because we are going to pay everybody by BVN. That's why we're involving special banks. And the president gave me approval to engage special banks so that we can make sure everybody is engaged, biometrics are taken. It won't be, they'll be scandal free because you pay everybody by BVN to the last.
I recall clearly that you said that...
So when you have the database of these people, the federal government now has a database of these unemployed people or unskilled to
Where
engage
did you get
them.
the database?
That is what we are doing with the banks. The banks are going to forward to us.
Are you telling me that these area boys, as you call them, all of them have banks?
That is why we are engaging the banks. Don't you understand me? I'm explaining something to you. You don't understand. We are engaging the banks to go and take their biometrics for the next 2 months.
How are you picking the beneficiaries?
These are the multi-sectorial committee I just told you about in that state. Market Woman will bring some people, you know, National Union of Road Transport Workers, Christian Association of Nigeria from the churches, from the mosque, National Union of Nigerian Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs.
You also didn't mention that you were going to give at least 10% to politicians, even though I heard you say you would resign if this process is hijacked by politicians.
Hijack means that you want to take everything.
But then, you want to interpret it that way. But then, if you're giving 10% of that to politicians, isn't that putting it in their hands?
Don't call them, don't use the word, when you call politicians, it evokes memory of...
That's the term you used.
No. Public, those who are elected officials.
No, that's the term you used.
Well, elected officials.
I will read out
let me explain
how you put that. You used the word politicians.
They are politicians, but I just want to explain to you that they also represent constituencies. It's in a bid to be honest before Nigerians. You see, senators, members of the House of Rep, governors, different public office holders, you have constituencies. These constituencies, these people you represent are also Nigerians. Don't forget they are not Cameroonians. They are Nigerians. They know among their supporters those who need jobs. But we said, no, hey, you are not going to take all of them because there are many Nigerians who don't belong to PDP or APC or SDP or AAA. They don't belong. These Nigerians are also important. So we said, look, listen, so that Nigerians will not complain that you are taking everything and your constituency is also important, we are going to receive 10% from you. So no argument.
What is the rationale behind reserving 10% for politicians?
Because they have constituencies too. Like you are reserving percentage for CAN. You are reserving percentage for Islamic people. You are reserving percentage for National Union of Road Transport Workers. You are also reserving percentage for civil society. They are Nigerians. These are sectors we are reserving percentage for. So why not elected people? Why? Because you want to tar them with black brush.
But you said it yourself that you would resign if they hijack the process. So you have fears.
Let me explain hijack.
But you have fears. That means you have fears that they could hijack the process.
Based on what has been happening before.
But I didn't hear you say that the other unions, organizations would hijack it. It's because you have fears.
What's hijack?
For politicians.
What's hijack? It's to carry everything and go. It's to carry, that's hijack. And I said, no, we are going to allot. Because multi-sectoral, I said, we're going to allot. If you go beyond all these people I've mentioned, that means you are going out of Nigeria. After you go, Christians, Muslims, market women, Agbero boys. Where else will you go again?
We're almost out of time, but just so this doesn't go the way of other government programs, I know that the president has approved the deployment of online technology.
Absolutely.
And it will help for tracking the system. Could you talk us through how that will work?
Very simple. Because we said it's not just giving them money. It's going to be 60,000 naira for the 3 months. That's a lot of money. That comes about 46.4 billion the federal government is paying. That's a lot of money. And we said they have to do the work. So we said, how do we track that the fact that they are doing the work? Apart from the fact that we have three supervisors per local government. If we don't have supervisors, how do we know they are doing the work? These supervisors will now be some kind of, go-between between us to feed the state coordinators, and then they feed us here. We opened an interactive website, and we're in the process of developing that now. It's going to come alive in the next few days. Interactive website. So I'll use Delta as an example. You see Delta State. You click Delta. You will see the name of the 20-man member committee there in Delta. So everybody will know how to reach them. Do you understand? We hear you are raising Christians. I'm the pastor of so-and-so church. I have 10 members here. Please bring their names. So everybody will know how to reach them. You see the 20-member committee. You click this particular local government in Delta State. I'll use Uwe. Uwe is my local government. So let me use Uwe. When you click Uwe, you will see the names of all the 1,000 beneficiaries. They are going to be there. Nobody will be, mago like we say. You will see the 1,000 beneficiaries there. You click projects for Uwe, my local government. You will see the exact project and the exact location that we want to do. So that when people now come, the public will be our own watchdog. And they will say, look, I have looked at your website. They were supposed to do number 20 Agric Road. I live on Agric Road in Uwe, so I'll use my street. Agric Road, they're supposed to clear this gutter. As I speak with you and nothing is going on, I am here. They'll send us interactive. And then we call the state coordinator and say, what's happening there? People are saying that project is not going on. Please, look at it. And he calls the coordinators and the supervisors. And then there's this back and forth between us.
That was the plan, but it's certainly not smooth sailing now with this altercation. To present the side of the lawmakers, we have with us this evening the co-chair of the National Assembly Joint Committee on Labour, Honorable Mohammed Wadil. Honorable, welcome to Hard Copy.
Oh, happy to have me.
Thank you. I'd like us to go straight to what happened on the day you met with the Minister of Labour, Minister of State for Labour and Employment. We've heard his side. He's told his own side of the story. But let's hear from you. As a co-chair of the committee, what exactly transpired on that day?
It was the Senate chairman that is chairing the committee. So we asked him, okay, Minister of Labour, explain to us how do you plan to this instance? So he began by saying that this program is conceived by the president to ensure that poor Nigerians are engaged during dry season for 6 months, for 3 months, to be paid 20,000 per month. And the recruitment is 1,000 per local government, making it 774,000. And then he said the president write him that he's to supervise the execution or implementation of the program. Now, and he said he engaged 20-member selection committee in each state. Then we asked him, how do you come up with that 20-member selection committee? He said that this is not our right constitutionally to even question why selection, why we should ask about selection. Then we said, okay, NDE, you are the accounting officer of that money. You are the chief executive of NDE, and you are supposed to be accounting officer of that money. What happened? The man said, yes, they discussed about selection of selection committee in each state, and what he know, they agree on 8, but he don't know why it becomes 20. Let's ask the minister. When we ask the minister starts shouting that it's not our right, it's presidential mandate to even ask. Nobody is supposed to ask.
Was it at that point that the committee decided that it would be best to hold a meeting behind closed doors?
Yeah, it's because when we see that he's trying to be temperamental, there are certain issues which we don't want to overplug. That's why we used to call executive session.
Is this one of those issues? Does this sound like one of those issues that should not be held in public? You
Yeah.
invited journalists.
Yeah, we
in the first
invited
place.
journalists.
But at some point you felt it wasn't necessary to, in quote, wash these dirty linens in public.
That's right. So it was in that point that the way we look at it is he wants to shine. He portrays us as if we are trying to hide something.
While it's understandable that the National Assembly decides how it carries out its proceedings, his accusation is you had questioned him in the public, you had accused him in the eyes of the public, in front of the cameras, and you did not give him an opportunity to respond in front of the cameras, and you were willing to go behind closed doors, but he wasn't willing to do that. Was it out of place what he requested?
No, I think, Mr. Terry, you need to get in clear. Now, we didn't call for the executive session. It's when we see that he's shouting. So we gave him chance to respond, but he was shouting on top of his voice. Be that aside, let me continue with what you have been asking. You said he is trying to say that we want to hijack the entire process, which I'm telling you is a lie. First of all, let me put it clear to Nigerians that even what he said to the press, that he gave us, or he offered us 15% of the entire program, that's a complete lie. let me also
No,
say...
I think he said that that's part of the plan. Maybe he hadn't communicated that with the committee or the
But the way he said it, telling Nigeria, is that he offered us 15%, but we rejected.
Honorable, let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Well, welcome back to Hard Copy. We're speaking with the co-chair of the National Assembly Committee on Labor on the interaction with the Minister of State for Labor, which turned out sour. Honorable, let me ask you this. Do you understand how this project is supposed to work? Do you have the details of the Special Public Works Program of the federal government?
Very well.
That the National Assembly approved the details of the Special Public Works Program?
No.
That's quite different from what the Senate spokesman said. He said that this project was presented before the National Assembly, was approved by the National Assembly, which gives them the right to look into it. So I need to know, is that the statement that National Assembly is standing by? Are you aware? Did you see the details of this project before you approved it?
Let me give you my word. You see, the president, in his own wisdom, said that he's creating palliatives for this lockdown, which this program is part of the palliatives.
From my understanding,
even if it is not expressly said,
from my understanding,
I'm telling you,
and what the minister said, this is an ILO, International Labour Organization model that has been adopted. It's going to help with the poverty eradication program of the federal government.
Whatever model is captured in the national budget.
So my point is, do you have details of it?
I'm coming to that. This one in particular, there is allocation in the budget.
Well, you did not get the details.
Yeah,
so the National Assembly doesn't have the details of it.
After the
budget was approved?
After approved, then there was the DGNDE submitted the details and explained how the thing is going to work.
So from the details you got from the DG of the NDE, is it following, is Mr. Keyamo, as the Minister of State for Labor, following those details as provided for?
It's not.
What exactly is he not doing right?
You see, that's what I'm telling you. In the detail, there's nothing like selection committee. In the detail is that what we know, there will be recruitment of 1,000 persons from each local government making 700. That's what we know. So even now, in the detail, and then in the detail also, he said there are certain equipments that will be purchased for implementation or for what make them to work. That's the only thing in the detail. That is the stipends to be paid to the recruits, and also some implements they will use. For example, if they're clearing gutter, they need shovel, they need certain things to clear a gutter. So those things are purchased. These are the only things. For example, now let's come to the constitutional provision. Now, the constitutional provision, section 88, is specific that the National Assembly have right to investigate what it appropriated. With this 52 billion is part of the money appropriated by the National Assembly, and we have powers to investigate. That's investigation, so that we look at waste, corruption, embezzlement, and whatever. When you look at the Constitution, now even somebody asking on that day, if you say you are recruiting 20, which is going to be paid in that money approved by the National Assembly, and we feel in our own constitutional provision that is so much, why can't you engage 10 or 8 or 5 so that to avoid waste? So our powers now come in. But what you said is you are sacrosanct that you are the one to recruit, without minding to those that are to check for corruption, for waste. Then what are we saying? So this money, like you are saying, one, we don't know how he come up with 20, which is not in the detail. We don't know how he come up with the selection process.
He did mention that the selection process would be done by religious organizations, market leaders, union leaders, and some grassroots leaders at some point. He did mention that. Is that not part of the guidelines in the operation of this project?
Go and check the list and see. Does that portray the list what he's saying? Completely lie.
Honorable, we'll deal we've spoken a lot about the details of this program, but what I want to know from you is, how is it that the National Assembly was so quick to make the decision to halt this program without probably interacting or interfacing with the president who gave the directive for this program, especially because, as you said, a budget had been presented, it had gone through the process, and a necessary interaction, according to many, had not been concluded, but National Assembly has issued a directive to halt the program. It raises the question, does the National Assembly have the power to do that?
Yeah.
What part of the Constitution gives the National Assembly powers to do that?
This is the Constitution. I'm telling you that we are supposed to investigate the implementation of what we appropriated. And now even the way it started, we have seen that there are infractions, there are issues of wastage, there is issues. So the only thing that if we allow it to continue.
What part of the Constitution or what law allows the National Assembly to halt a program like this? Because as you said, this probably falls into the social investment programs of the federal government. And I've seen how the National Assembly has investigated, has carried out some investigation into the social investment programs. There have been some that questions have been raised, but we've never had a reason. You've never had a reason to cancel that. Is this not an unnecessary show of power?
No. You see, let me tell you. If you look at what transpired, now, if you are dealing as a normal person, if you are dealing with a person that he thought that this is his own right, so you have to look at, when we begin to ask him questions on the modality of this implementation, you don't need to wait till the damage is done before you do your work. First of all, we said suspend. We didn't say stop the project entirely. We said now, okay, suspend the project. Let's come back again and look at the way and manner you are trying to do the implementation. And you are asking me which power or where do we drive our power to? I told you from the beginning that Section 88 of the Constitution gives us power to investigate. If you investigate,
powers of investigation.
Not if you power is to investigate. If you investigate,
you make recommendations.
You say, wait and see infractions. What do you do? I'm asking you, what do you do?
That portion doesn't say clearly that you have the power to halt anything.
Doesn't say clearly.
Doesn't say clearly. I mean,
okay,
let me tell you what Mr. Keyamo says. He says that you cannot order the stoppage, continuation, or suspension of any policy and program that has been appropriated for. He says that the National Assembly there are clear limitations that to their powers. You can only investigate the execution of those policies, the programs or projects for the purpose of exposing corruption. And that's where your powers end.
Hey, I'm telling you, when you investigate, you see infraction, or you are about to see infraction, what do you do? You
would agree with me that this seems like some sort of distrust between the two arms of government. And Mr. Keyamo had repeatedly insisted that he would resign if politicians hijack this program. His reason is that he fears that there's a possibility that politicians could hijack this program, especially if you look at the accusations against politicians as far as constituency projects is concerned. There are fears that this could just go in the way of constituency projects. And if you look at the kind of responses that social media generated from this controversy, it almost suggests that the people do not want politicians directly involved in this project. What does that tell you?
Well, first of all, let me tell you, who is a politician? Is President a politician? Is Keyamo a politician? The answer is yes. Keyamo, if he's not a politician, he cannot take appointment as minister. So if you say politician, he's already one. The minister is saying that he don't want politicians to hijack this thing. But let me tell you, we have information. And we have even text message that he sends to the State Selection Committee chairman, which he himself appointed. And the text message he sent to them is that they should give 30 slots in each of the local government to minister in that state. Let me give you an example. If a minister is from Kano State and you give him 30 for local government, multiply 30 times 44, it's about 1,320. Only one minister who was not elected. But me that I was elected, and that minister will be given slot in my own local government, which he doesn't even know. Who doesn't know 30 people? And you are shortchanging or you are blocking the person that was elected by those people. So what is he saying?
Honorable, thank you. Thank you very much for finding time to come and speak with us. And we'll keep eyes on this and see how it turns out.
Thank you very much.
Honorable Muhammad Wadil is the co-chair of the National Assembly on Labour. Well, that's a wrap on the program tonight, but we want to hear from you, so do send us a message on hardcopy@channelstv.com or a tweet with @CTVHardcopy. If you miss any of the episodes, do go to our website, channelstv.com, or listen to our podcasts on channelstv.com/podcasts. Thank you for watching. I'm Terry Ikumi.